Well, welcome back. Today I'm just going to do a short video to show you how to add something a little bit different to your images. If you're just a bit fed up of the plain old picture on the wall and you want something a little bit more quirky, I'm going to show you how to add a page curl and maybe do a little bit of a layout something similar to this. This is just a mock-up I did for a client. It wasn't actually used in the end, but it just shows you what we can do just to make those images just stand out from the crowd. So we're going to do this all within Photoshop. Now, I'm in the bridge using Photoshop CS3, which is obviously quite old now, but that's the beauty of this tutorial. You don't need any fancy software, no fancy plugins, no fancy scripts. It's just literally a few simple techniques to add the page curl to the image. These are 3 pictures of my children that are shot just on the beach, just snaps on the beach in Spain in last year. And we're going to take one of these pictures, I'm going to show you how to do the page curl, and then we're going to apply that to the 3 images and put it into a new canvas ready to be printed. Okay, so here's our first image. The first thing I want to do is add some canvas around the image. I'm not worried about size or anything at this stage. It's come straight out of Lightroom. It's about 11 by 16, I think it is, at 300 dpi. So I'm not really worried about sizes. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to go to Image, Canvas Size, and I'm going to make sure that the canvas extension color is set to background, which at the moment is white, which is what I want. I'm going to click on Relative. I'm going to use inches, but you can use percentage if you want, or whatever you want. I'm just going to add a 2-inch of canvas all the way around and click OK. Okay, so we've now got a nice little bit of a white border around the image. Very quickly, another way to add canvas, which sometimes I'll use, is just to get the crop tool and drag that around the image, and you can just literally pull out these handles like so. And then if you decide that actually you want something with a bit more canvas at the bottom, you can just click enter, and that adds the canvas. Trouble with that is if you want these the canvas around the outside of the image to be exactly the same, then I recommend doing it the way we did it just previously. Next, I'm going to add a blank layer underneath the image. Go to Image, Canvas Size, and again I'm going to use inches. I'm just going to allow quite a bit of extra canvas. I'm going to go for 12 inches by 12 inches. We probably won't need all this, but you never know. And just going to bring that back into view. Now rename our layer Original. Yours is probably called Background, but I've managed to delete that one. So we've got Original here. I'm going to Command or Control J to duplicate it. I'm going to turn the top one off. So we've got our Original there, nice and safe. Next thing is I'm going to Command or Control click on the layer. So we've got a selection come up. I'm going to go to Edit, then down to Transform, and we're going to go to Warp. Now this is where we do the page curl, and obviously this is going to distort the image as well if we're not careful. So we've got to be a bit careful we don't overdo it. For this one, depending on where the image is going to go on your final layout, and this one's probably going to go in the middle, so it doesn't make a lot of odds. I'm going to, just for this one, just going to curl this bottom corner and drag it upwards like that, so it looks like that edge of the corner of the print is lifted up, and just click enter. So pretty simple. That's going to take a second to go. Right, Command and Control D to deselect. I'm then going to double click on the side of the layer, and that going to bring up the layer style dialog box. I'm going to go to drop shadow. I'm going to then make sure that the blend mode is on multiply, and we've got black selected. I'm going to go for 100% for now on the opacity, and I'm going to angle that. This is roughly where the lighting is going to be come from. If you imagine the lighting falling on to this print, and I'm going to have this one pretty much near enough straight up, I think, to start with anyway. About 98 degrees. Now we want all these to match in each print so that the lighting is consistent. Distance, I'm going to go for, I think, you can see the preview coming up on screen now. probably around 245, somewhere around there. Spread is optional. I'm going to leave that set to 0 at the moment. And size, I'm just going to bring this up. And around 68 looks good for that. Everything else can be left, and you can see as you move this angle, you can see on the little preview here and on the main image where the shadow's falling. As I said, I'm going to leave that almost coming from directly above, and click OK. So now we've got very quickly got a nice shadow adding onto the underneath the image. I'm going to go to the background image now. Make sure that white's as a foreground. Get the paint bucket tool and fill the background with white. And there we have it. Very, very quickly, we've got a page curl on the image. But we can go a step further. On the next image, we're going to do the same sort of thing again, but we're going to get a little bit more clever with it. Before we do that, let's just crop this image down and to make it a little bit more manageable. So I'm going to still allow a plenty, well, not plenty, but a good dose of canvas around the image. Somewhere like that will be fine, and then we'll just literally save that for now until we need it a bit later on. Right, so the next one we're going to do is similar to this. We're actually going to roll the paper all the way over, which is a little bit more tricky to do, but quite effective. So bear with me. This gets a little bit more involved, but it's still not difficult once you've gone through it a couple of times. Right, so we've got my original image here. Then I've duplicated that, and we've got an empty background and a stretched canvas again. So I'm going to turn off the top, our original top layer. Grab this one. I'm going to Command or Control click on it like I did before. Go to Edit, and then down to Transform, and go to Warp again. And this time I'm going to lift this one up from this corner. I'm going to keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, and pull it up. Something like that. Okay, if I go too far, it's really going to distort the image. We don't want that going up his nostril. So something like that. Click Enter to apply that, and then we're ready to add the next part. Now we need to make a bit of a correction here. We need this edge curl to be all white so that we're showing the backing of the paper. You imagine a print curled over, you're not going to see black or anything else, you're going to see just white, and then add a shadow to that. So the first thing we need to do is to basically make a new edge of the paper here, a new curl. And the best way I can think of doing that, and I've tried a different couple of ways, and this is probably the quickest, as it often is just to get the pen tool, okay, and I'm not an expert with the pen tool, I've got to be honest, and we just want to go around the outside of the page here, and bring it all the way down, try and be as precise as you can. You can zoom in a bit further if you wanted to, which I will do. And just go all the way around it. I'm not going to do all this, otherwise you'd be a bit bored. But bring it, I want to bring it down and make up the edge there. Right, so once you've got the path done, you'll have something on screen similar to this. If you go into your path section, you'll see the path loaded there. I've renamed this one New Page Edge. You can name it what you want, but I would recommend renaming it. We can go down here then and load that path as a selection. Okay, like so. Back into layers. We now have to do a Command or Control C to copy, Command or Control V to paste. And we now got that on its own layer. Command or Control click to load the selection again. And now I'm going to just get my paint bucket tool and fill that selection with white, like so. Gotta make sure it's completely in there, that's it. Okay, so Command or Control D to deselect. So we've now got a nice clean page, and we'll rename this one Page Curl New. Right, I'm now going to duplicate that, Command or Control J to duplicate it. Command click or Control click on the layer again to add a selection. And now bear with me, now I'm going to get my gradient tool. Okay, oops, don't know where that's gone. Gradient tool. Okay, and go up here to the options. You want, ideally, you don't have to, but you want either foreground or background, but I'm going to use foreground to transparent, which means that if I mess it up, I can go over it again and just keep adding to the effect rather than replacing it. I'm going to set my foreground to black, and now I want to add a graduated black to white effect onto the page to emulate the page shadow. Command or Control D to deselect. We can call this one page curl shadow, and now we've got a shadow on that. Let's just zoom out a little bit and see where we are. Now we can drop the opacity down on that a little bit if needed, which I think it probably would be a little bit darker than that. And now we've got our shadow and our new page curl on top of that. What I'll do, which is always a good idea, is to link all these together. I'm now going to add these two groups. So I'm going to shift and click to select those. A Command or Control G to add them to a group, and just call the group new page curl. So we know what that is. So they're all nicely linked together. I'm now going to take this image. I'm just going to bring up remember the last image we did of my daughter. I'm just going to right click next to the image there and do copy layer style. And what that's going to do is copy that shadow and go to this layer, right click again and go paste layer style there. And that's going to give us that shadow. So that's done a lot of the work for me, but it's not quite right in my opinion. The angle's correct if it's going to match the other one, but I'm just going to adjust it a little bit because I don't like the way it's coming right out here. So I'm just going to pull that in just a slight little bit, like so. Now, the problem we've got is I think this one needs to be darkened a little bit now. Or I need to lighten the background shadow. I don't really want to lighten the background shadow because it matches the other one. So let's just go in and darken this shadow a little bit. And that's the beauty of Photoshop with all these layers, is sometimes you will make an adjustment and then realise a bit further on down the line you need to adjust it. So that's where we are. So let's crop this one down like so. Get the crop tool. Again, I'm going to allow a little bit of space all the way around, and then press enter. One thing we haven't done is fill the background with white, so let's highlight the background layer, get the paint bucket tool, foreground set to white, and then just fill that in and see where we are. And there we have it. So we've got a nice new page rippling over the edge of the print. Finally, what we need to do is to create a new canvas. So we go to new, and let's say you're doing maybe a canvas wrap or a large print. So let's go, I want to go for a 20 by 16 image for argument's sake, and it's going to be 300 pixels per inch. And then we can literally flatten these images. Do this one, go to layer, flatten, get the move tool, and then we can literally just hold down a shift key if you want to constrain things, move it across. Command and Control, click on the layer, Command and Control T to bring up the transform tool, and then we could just resize the images one by one to fit the canvas. So I'm just going to bring this one, hold down the shift key again to constrain things, just bring it in, and you can just place each one of them into the canvas individually and resize them as needed. Now, a better workflow, in my opinion, rather than just flattening it and dragging it across, is if you've got several images going to the same canvas and you've got some of these kind of shadows and stuff going on, you want them, when they're all next to each other, to look fairly consistent. Now, it's difficult to judge that when they're in individual files. So what I would probably recommend doing is resizing. Well, let's first of all let's select all the layers. Command and Control G to group them. Then maybe resizing the image. And let's resize this. We know the canvas is going to be a 20 by 16, so let's resize the height. Let's go down to 12, Okay, resize it to 12 inches high. Then grab the move tool, and let's now move the whole lot across like so. And then what we can do, we'll just turn off that top layer. We can now go in. I think the shadow is too harsh. We now go in and we can adjust the opacity of the shadow, maybe drop it down. And it just looks easier to do that when it's actually in the background with the other images. So we can do the same with this one. I already flattened that one, so now let's do that again. Let's highlight them all. Command or Control G to group them. Let's resize it, image size. Let's go again 12 high so it matches the other one, or there or thereabouts. And then we can grab the move tool again. Wait for that to flatten. And then drag it across. Okay. And now we're in a much better position to come in and we can basically bring up the layer style and try and wrong one shadow and drop the opacity of that shadow as well so it matches. You don't want one dark black next to one that's not, because it just looks silly. So let's just drop that, try and match it a little bit. So there we have it, something a little bit different, something a little bit quirky, I think, to add to your images rather than having flat, boring images on a print. Why not add a bit of a page curl to them, just for a bit of fun? You could even go in, actually, if you wanted to, and add some little drawing pins, as if it's like pinned onto a corkboard or something. I think it's just limited by your creativity, as is all things in Photoshop. So just get out there, have a play around, and have some fun with it. Till next time, thanks for watching. Cheers.